Welcome to this mini masterclass. My name is Rebecca Mickey and I am a children's sleep consultant and author. And in today's mini masterclass, we're looking at whether you should get your newborn onto a schedule or not. I'm sure you've heard plenty of conflicting advice out there on if you should get your newborn onto a schedule or not. Now, we know that when your child is on a schedule, then they're generally going to sleep a little bit better because we are avoiding the overtiredness and undertiredness. But this really is only going to be helpful if your child is over 12 weeks of age. And even then, we've got some variables with that. With a newborn, it is not worth getting onto a sleep schedule just because there's a whole lot of energy with you trying to get your child onto that sleep schedule. Everything changes so much within those first 12 weeks. It would just be exhausting trying to do so. And there are so many different variables when it comes to newborn sleep that it can just be impossible to do. So I wouldn't even attempt to get your newborn onto any kind of schedule until they are over 12 weeks old. Then that is the perfect time to gradually start to introduce one. But what you can do before your child reaches that 12-week age is to make sure that they are not getting overtired. And your schedule will look like a maximum awake period. And even with children who are over 12 weeks, this is the daytime schedule that I recommend. Just having maximum awake periods. This way, your child is not going to be getting overtired. When your child is overtired, they're going to struggle to fall asleep and remain asleep, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So we're making sure that they are going down before they've got overtired, and we can definitely do the same with a newborn. Now, their awake period may only be maximum of an hour. I wouldn't definitely not go beyond an hour and a half if you can help it. Now, you'd think that a newborn will fall asleep when they're tired. No, nothing could be further from the truth. Now, of course, there are some newborns out there who are falling asleep when they're tired, but there are a lot who aren't. Those who are more intense, spirited sleep personality, those are the ones who struggle a little bit more. There's something to look at. They're looking at it. They're very alert. And remember, newborns do not know that they need to close their eyes in order to fall asleep. If there's something to look at, they're going to be looking at it and they're not going to be falling asleep. So if you're going to stick with your maximum awake times, you want to be encouraging your child to fall asleep at the end of that maximum awake time if they are not naturally unwinding and falling asleep. As I mentioned, there are plenty of children who will just fall asleep wherever they are, but there are plenty of children who will not and will just keep themselves awake until that point where they are so exhausted and they very reluctantly fall asleep and have a real hard time doing so, and then may wake very, very abruptly and not get a long nap, not get a long chunk of sleep because they were so overly tired. So we want to slow things down and unwind as we are reaching the end of that maximum awake time, which may be an hour or an hour and a half. Going somewhere dark can really help those super alert newborns to just block everything out visually. If there's something to look at and they want to look at it, sleep is going to be really, really hard for them. So actually going somewhere into a darkened room can just help block everything out visually and make it easier for them to fall asleep. And then there's the same if you have some white noise or some brown noise or some pink noise. This can just block out any noises that could be keeping your child awake. So going into a darkened room, putting on some white noise or some brown noise or some pink noise can be really, really helpful for just blocking everything out and making it easier for your child to fall asleep if they are those children who struggle to fall asleep at the end of their awake periods. Now, as your child gets beyond that 12 weeks, then things will change a little bit. Things will get a little bit easier. Sleep is very, very different at this point, and things are a little bit more predictable. Up until we get to that 12-week mark, things can be really unpredictable. Feeding is still getting established and is quite unpredictable. Sleep can be really unpredictable. You may feel that you're beginning to see a pattern and then it all change. And you may feel you're beginning to see another pattern and then it all change. It can change from day to day, from nap to nap. Just stick with your maximum awake periods and then you can't go wrong.